Betrayed by boyfriend and best friend. She secretly bought their company. Office revenge. My name is Evelyn Reed and I'm 28. The conference room was silent, save for the triumphant smirk plastered across Dax Thorne's face. Beside him, Valencia Rossi, ever the echo, giggled nervously, clutching his arm like a prized possession. "So, Evelyn," Dax drawled, his voice dripping with false sympathy. "It seems your little agency just couldn't compete. Thorne Marketing now owns Bellwether Designs. I guess you could say, we're taking over." My hands were clasped neatly in my lap, my expression betraying nothing. Let them have their moment. Let them bask in their perceived victory. They thought they'd won. They thought they'd crushed me. They didn't know the half of it. The quiet hum of my knowledge was my little secret. "Congratulations, Dax," I said, my voice calm and steady. "I look forward to seeing what you do with it." The irony, of course, was delicious. They were about to find out exactly what I was going to do with them. It all started 5 years ago. I was a fresh-faced graduate from Rhode Island School of Design, brimming with ideas and a burning desire to make my mark on the world of graphic design. Back then, I was naive, idealistic, and maybe a little too trusting. Dax, with his slicked back hair, perpetually tanned skin, and even slicker promises, swept me off my feet. He was working at a mid-level marketing firm then, Thorne Marketing, all talk but no substance. He saw my talent, all right. He just didn't appreciate it. He saw me as the engine that could push his own train of ambition. He'd compliment my work, calling me a visionary and the future of design. But the praise always felt calculated, like he was rehearsing lines. He was already wearing those ridiculously expensive suits then, even though his salary couldn't possibly have afforded them. That should have been my first clue. Valencia, my best friend since freshman year, we bonded over shared art history classes and late-night pizza runs, was always the social butterfly, the one who knew everyone and everything. She had a knack for self-promotion, a growing Instagram following filled with perfectly filtered selfies and sponsored posts, and an insatiable hunger for validation. I was happy to support her, offering my design skills to elevate her brand. I designed her logo, a minimalist butterfly that somehow captured her essence. Her website, clean and modern, showcasing her carefully curated lifestyle, her entire online persona. She was, I thought, my biggest cheerleader, always gushing about my talent and how I was destined for greatness. We even had matching friendship bracelets, little silver charms shaped like paint palettes. I threw mine away the day I left her in Dax's lives. Looking back, the red flags were there, waving like frantic semaphore signals. Dax constantly borrowing my ideas in meetings, passing them off as his own during presentations. I'd spend hours crafting innovative marketing campaigns, pouring my heart and soul into the designs, only to hear him present them as if they sprung from his own brilliant mind. Valencia's increasingly blatant flirtations with Dax, disguised as playful banter. She'd laugh a little too loud at his jokes, touch his arm a little too often, and give him those wide-eyed, admiring glances that made my stomach churn. I was too caught up in my work, too trusting of my friends, to see the betrayal brewing beneath the surface. I wanted to believe the best in them. I wanted to hold on to the friendship and the professional partnership. I was wrong. My hidden weapons, as they say, wasn't a weapon of mass destruction, but a meticulously crafted arsenal of knowledge and foresight. While Dax relied on charm and Valencia on fleeting trends, I immersed myself in the data, the analytics, the underlying currents of the market. I practically lived in the library, devouring books on consumer behavior, market analysis, and the psychology of advertising. I studied consumer behavior, anticipated industry shifts, and honed my design skills to an almost unnerving precision. I saw what worked, what didn't, and most importantly, why. I learned about SEO optimization, A/B testing, and the power of data-driven design. My apartment became a laboratory, filled with sketches, prototypes, and endless cups of lukewarm coffee. I was building my foundation while they were playing house. Then came the night that shattered my world. I came home early from a late-night client meeting, eager to unwind and maybe watch a cheesy rom-com. I walked in on them. Dax and Valencia. In my apartment. On my couch. The images burned into my memory like a photographic negative. The hurt was profound, a searing pain that ripped through my chest. But beneath the pain, something else flickered to life, a cold, unwavering determination. It wasn't just heartbreak, it was betrayal. It was the shattering of my illusions, the realization that the people I trusted most were actually my enemies. In the weeks that followed, I didn't rage, I didn't cry. Okay, maybe I cried a little. But mostly I planned. I quietly extracted myself from their lives, severing ties with a calm detachment that unnerved them both. I moved out of our shared apartment, found a small, sparsely furnished studio in a less desirable neighborhood, and changed my phone number. I deleted them from my social media, erasing them from my digital life as if they never existed. I used my savings, supplemented with a small loan from a surprisingly supportive aunt, to launch Bellwether Designs. The name was a nod to my grandmother, who always told me I had a bellwether spirit. I knew their firm, Thorn Marketing, inside and out. I knew their weaknesses, their vulnerabilities, their reliance on outdated strategies. I knew Dax's ego, his insatiable need for admiration, and his tendency to cut corners. I knew Valencia's need for constant validation, her obsession with social media metrics, and her shallowness. And more than that, I knew how to exploit them. I knew their fears, their insecurities, and their desperation to maintain their carefully constructed image of success. I would use it all against them. Bellwether Designs started small, operating from a cramped co-working space above a laundromat. The air was always thick with the smell of dryer sheets and desperation, but I poured everything I had into it. My talent, my energy, my unwavering focus. I worked day and night, fueled by caffeine and a burning desire for revenge. I attracted a team of brilliant, dedicated designers who shared my vision. They were young, hungry, and eager to prove themselves. We didn't chase fleeting trends. We created lasting impressions. We focused on substance over flash, on genuine connection over superficial likes. We were the underdogs, the rebels, the ones who dared to challenge the status quo. Our clients were initially small, local businesses hungry for innovative marketing strategies. A mom-and-pop bakery struggling to attract customers, a struggling bookstore desperate to stay afloat, a local artist trying to make a name for herself. We delivered results. We helped them build their brands, connect with their audiences, and increase their sales. Word spread. Soon bigger clients were knocking on our door, drawn to our fresh approach and our proven track record. We were the anti-Thorn Marketing, the agency that actually cared about its clients. Meanwhile, Thorn Marketing, blinded by their perceived success, grew complacent. Dax, puffed up with undeserved confidence, continued to churn out the same tired campaigns, relying on Valencia's increasingly desperate attempts to stay relevant on social media. Their work became stale, predictable, and increasingly ineffective. They were spending more time attending industry parties and schmoozing with clients than actually working on their campaigns. They dismissed Bellwether Designs as a flash in the pan, a hobby project that would soon fizzle out. They underestimated me. They underestimated my team. They underestimated the power of genuine talent and unwavering dedication. They thought I was just a heartbroken ex. They were wrong. I secretly began acquiring shares in Thorn Marketing. Small purchases at first, carefully masked through shell corporations and offshore accounts. I hired a team of financial experts to help me navigate the complex world of mergers and acquisitions. Dax was too busy basking in the glow of Valencia's Instagram feed to notice. Valencia was too busy chasing sponsorships and attending influencer events to pay attention to the financial reports. They continued to underestimate me, to dismiss me as a heartbroken ex who couldn't handle the real business world. They thought I was playing checkers. I was playing three-dimensional chess. The silence fueled them. Each misstep, each overlooked marketing campaign for Thorn was a step closer to their demise. My team and I grew closer and more determined each day. We were building our empire brick by metaphorical brick. We celebrated every victory, no matter how small, with pizza and cheap beer. We were a family bonded by our shared passion and our unwavering commitment to each other. The annual Marketing Industry Gala was the perfect stage for my grand reveal. It was the biggest event of the year, a black tie affair filled with industry titans, media moguls, and aspiring influencers. Dax and Valencia, predictably, were the center of attention, posing for photos on the red carpet and basking in the spotlight. They were dressed to the nines, dripping in designer labels and radiating an air of smug self-satisfaction. I arrived late, deliberately making an entrance in a stunning, understated gown that screamed quiet confidence. It was a simple black dress, but it fit me perfectly, accentuating my curves and exuding an air of understated elegance. I wanted to send a message. I didn't need flashy clothes or extravagant jewelry to command attention. My power came from within. I walked into the room, head held high, and watched as all eyes turned to me. As Dax began his speech about Thorn Marketing's unparalleled success, a rambling, self-congratulatory monologue filled with empty platitudes and inflated statistics, I calmly walked to the front of the stage. The room went silent. All chatter stopped. Forks clattered against plates. People leaned forward in their seats, curious about the interruption. "I apologize for the interruption, Dax," I said, my voice amplified through the microphone. "But I believe there's something the industry should know." I smiled, a cold, calculated smile that sent a shiver down my own spine. This was it. The moment of truth. The culmination of years of planning and preparation. I gestured to the screen behind me, which flickered to life, displaying a graph charting the ownership of Thorn Marketing. The graph slowly shifted, revealing my name, Evelyn Reed, as the majority shareholder. A collective gasp rippled through the room. People gasped, whispered, and pointed. The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation and disbelief. The carefully orchestrated charade was over. The truth was out. Dax's face paled. His carefully maintained tan seemed to fade, replaced by a sickly gray hue. Valencia's carefully applied makeup seemed to crack under the strain. Her eyes widened in disbelief, her perfectly sculpted eyebrows furrowing in confusion. Their carefully constructed facade of success crumbled before them. "As of this morning," I continued, my voice ringing with quiet authority, "Bellwether Designs has acquired Thorn Marketing. I am now your boss." The silence was deafening. You could hear a pin drop. All eyes were on Dax and Valencia. I could feel the collective shock, the disbelief, the dawning realization that they had been completely outmaneuvered. They had underestimated me. They had dismissed me. And now they were paying the price. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Dax, stripped of his authority and humiliated in front of his peers, stammered excuses and desperately tried to salvage his reputation. He tried to argue, to negotiate, to plead. But it was too late. The damage was done. His reputation was shattered. His career was ruined. Valencia, her social media empire teetering on the brink of collapse as her followers decreased sharply, pleaded with me to keep her on as a brand ambassador. Her tears felt fake. I offered them both a choice. They could resign quietly and fade into obscurity, or they could stay and work for me under my terms. Dax, his ego bruised beyond repair, chose the former. Dignity in his failure, or perhaps he just couldn't bear the thought of reporting to me. Valencia, ever the opportunist, reluctantly agreed to stay, albeit with a considerable pay cut and a strict set of guidelines regarding her online behavior. She knew that her career was dependent on me, so she was humbled. The office atmosphere was tense, to say the least. Valencia seethed with resentment, constantly testing my boundaries and vying for attention. She'd make snide remarks about my leadership, spread rumors behind my back, and tried to undermine my authority at every turn. I, however, remained unfazed, focused on integrating Thorn Marketing into Bellwether Designs and implementing the strategies I had been planning for years. The rest of the staff were a mixture of delighted and shocked. I hosted a staff meeting immediately after the acquisition was finalized. I told the staff about the new direction that the company would be taking, more ethical and more focused on the client. A few had put in resignation letters thinking I would be a dragon lady of a boss. Those were pleasantly denied. Many of the clients who had been underserved by Thorn Marketing were excited about the new energy. Some left, clinging to Valencia's social media image and shallow marketing tactics. Those were no great loss. I took the chance to restaff where I could, bringing in some of the people from my old colleges that I knew would flourish in this new environment. Fresh talent, eager to learn and contribute, replaced the jaded veterans who were stuck in their old ways. 2 years have passed since the acquisition. Bellwether Designs is now a leading force in the marketing industry, known for its innovative strategies, its ethical practices, and its unwavering commitment to its clients. We've won numerous awards, been featured in countless publications, and become a sought-after agency for companies around the world. Dax is working at a small, no-name firm in Des Moines, Iowa, his career trajectory permanently derailed. He is a shadow of his former self, a cautionary tale whispered among industry insiders. Valencia, humbled and chastened, has actually become a valuable member of the team, albeit one who knows not to cross me. She still manages social media, but for the company. Her following is still relevant and she is on her best behavior. I keep a close watch on her. I've found peace not in revenge but in building something truly meaningful. I've learned that success is not about crushing your enemies, but about rising above them. The satisfaction of achieving my goals, of proving them wrong, is far more rewarding than any act of revenge could ever be. I've even started a mentorship program for new graduates, providing them with guidance, resources, and opportunities to succeed in the competitive world of marketing. A lot of talent goes unnoticed. I want to help young, aspiring designers find their voice and make their mark on the world. The most important lesson I've learned through all of this is that true strength lies not in outward displays of power, but in inner resilience and unwavering self-belief. The world throws curveballs, and sometimes those closest to you will betray your trust. But that doesn't have to define you. Use the pain, use the anger, use the disappointment as fuel to drive you forward. Focus on your goals, hone your skills, and never, ever underestimate your own potential. Because in the end, the only person you truly need to rely on is yourself. And maybe your aunt.